That was the one most.
Well, if that's anything that scares you, you're way ahead of me.
So your Roger, whenever I looked up you, it showed all these wonderful things, these accolades and these certificates, and it was really interesting to look you up. And I'd love for everybody to learn who you are, and so that's why I wanted to ask you. You're here today. How do you feel?
I was a little nervous, I'm not used to doing this, I live my life alone, basically.
Oh,
In the
really?
studio, I go to my studio every day about 7:30 in the morning and stay till late in the afternoon, and that's what I do.
Yeah.
Spend my life alone and with my own thoughts. It's really pretty nice.
Yeah. That's good. I like to hear that. You said to me earlier that you're 80 years old.
Yep.
That was so impressive for me to hear. You look good for 80.
Well, thanks. I don't feel that good, but yeah, I'm lucky.
Yeah.
I take good care of myself, and I try to. My wife takes good care of me and makes sure that I don't go on the roof and things like that.
That's good. That's good. Um, let's start where you grew up. I would love to hear about where
Oh,
you're from.
okay. I grew up in northeast Nebraska. When I was really little, the state of Nebraska basically took me away from my mother. They could do that back in those days
Really?
because she didn't have any visible means of supporting me. So they just took me away and put me in an orphanage, and I was adopted by a, a German family,
Oh, really?
raised in northeast Nebraska, and grew up working and
Can I ask you, did you feel like you were Lakota then?
I knew I was.
You just knew it.
I just knew I was. There was one other a girl in town. We found out a little later she was Yankton. She was from um, I can't remember the name of the town, but so we were the only two in the town. So we caught a lot of static.
Yeah.
Everybody knew we were what they called different,
Yeah.
So I grew up being different,
Yeah.
and now I thrive on it. You know,
Yeah.
I don't try to be like anybody else. I just do myself, and I'm pretty good at that.
When did you find out that you were adopted?
They told me when I was really little.
Yeah.
They told me that I uh, wasn't German,
Did
and
that bother you a bit or at all or not
yeah,
really?
I couldn't be part of that.
Really?
They let me know that I couldn't learn the language. I couldn't take part in their Germanic things. I was just kind of there,
Yeah.
and I guess that's okay.
Yeah.
I at the time I kind of felt like I was being left out.
Interesting.
You know, uh, the only friend I really had was Sharon. She was I think pretty much full blood,
Mm,
and it was obvious that she was not German
yeah.
like the whole town was.
Like the whole town. Wow.
And so we kind of formed a kind of a weird kind of bond.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so when you did find or when did you like go to look
Okay.
for your
So I
family?
went I went into the military when I was 18, and
If you don't mind, what year is that?
uh, what year was that? 1964.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah,
I
what
just
year was
I
that?
needed to hear that because it's like
64, that's you weren't even
no,
no,
not
you
even
weren't
close.
even close. That was 64. And so but when I got out, about the time before I got out, actually, out of the military, I went back to the orphanage that I was uh, part of
Yeah.
until I was 2.5. And I lived in foster care in different places, up until that time. I don't remember that. But I remember the day they came to get me at the orphanage.
Really?
I was 2.5 years old. I remember that day just like it was yesterday.
Really? Would you mind sharing?
Do what?
Do you mind sharing about that a little bit?
Yeah, I knew that there was something special going to happen because they had new clothes for me to put on, and they got me all ready, and the lady said, we're going to meet your new family. And I remember her taking me down the stairs, and there's a little fat girl on the stairs with a bag of candy
Mm-hmm.
that they gave her, and no, they gave me the candy, and she grabbed the candy from me right away, and that was I learned that was my adopted sister. She'd also been adopted by the same family.
Wow.
Yeah, but she grabbed the candy from me. I did a whole series years ago called Corn Candy Adoption. When that candy, she grabbed that bag from me, and it flew all over the stairs. I remember that very well. And anyhow, they took me up to this little town, Randolph, Nebraska, after that, and the old man was going to give me a bath, and he had me in the bathtub there. He said, "Mom, come look at this kid. He doesn't have a butt."
No way.
It's crazy the things you remember. You know,
That's crazy.
isn't that funny?
Yeah. Well, I mean, you're 2.5 and
Yeah.
that's amazing.
I said, "Geez, I'm different," and I was raised different. I was different. They told me all of it while I was growing up that you're not like us. You're different.
Mm,
You know, and that's kind of, I think that's kind of when I started trying to develop my own personality,
yeah.
because I didn't fit that culture or
Mhm.
that situation. I think I started doing a lot of drawing
Around that time.
when I was probably maybe 5 or 6.
Yeah.
I know I spent all the time I could be alone. I just drew on all whatever I could find.
Really.
Just drew things that I saw. You know, so it was my initial experience with art, and I don't know at what point I decided that I was really an artist, but I needed to develop that,
Mm.
and that's all I had that was really mine.
Did anybody growing up ever say, "Hey, Roger, I think you're an artist," or anything like
Oh,
that?
no, 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 no. My parents, my adopted parents, they were absolutely against it
Really?
because we're Germans. They were Germans, and we work for a living. And if
Oh,
you're an artist, you're not working. That isn't work. That doesn't fit that whole Germanic work ethic. And so I was told that I shouldn't do that. They didn't have art in the schools or anything like that. But I know that's all I did while I was in school was draw,
draw.
you know.
So every
I,
opportunity you had, you would
oh
just
yeah, that's what I did. And that's what I still do. I do something every day.
you doodle.
Oh, no, I don't doodle. No, I don't doodle.
You don't
I
doodle.
draw,
You
you
draw.
know. Doodling is a whole different deal.
I would have not put that together. Doodling and drawing are not the
Yeah,
same.
yeah.
What's the difference?
You're working through see John Gozen Center here, and Chuck Wilcox, and Mark, yeah, is here, and there are other people that are probably artists too, and that's what we do. That's how you work through different idea, not just necessarily ideas, but I think different levels of emotion,
Mm.
or different ways you're reading things.
So you're almost compelled to do it.
Yeah, that's what you do, and it's you don't have any really have control over that. You know,
What do you think was trying to come out of you
I
during
don't
that
know.
time?
I don't know if anything's trying to come out.
Or what why do you think that boy you were a long time ago, whenever he started to draw, what do you think he was working out? What were you working out? Or what were you trying to what was the I know you said you just enjoyed
I don't think that necessarily that even today that really the idea of making art is necessarily trying to let something out. It's maybe just like more making things you experience in your life make some sense.
Mm.
But it's not making sense in a um, I don't know where I was going with that. I'm 80. I use that as an excuse a lot of times, you
Well,
know.
we'll keep on going.
But you're trying, um, that's just what you do,
Mm.
and you just let that happen.
Okay.
Don't try to control it, but it's just letting ideas just formulate. I
Mm.
guess I don't know. You're asking
I know.
a question that is not necessarily one that I can answer without trying. You know.
Well, I appreciate you trying. So when you got out of the military and did you go try to find your family?
Oh yeah, I found my family when I got out of the military. I went back to Pine Ridge. That's where my family's all from. My grandpa was Frank White from lived up at Rocky Ford.
Oh, well,
My grandma was a Dubray, Mamie Dubray, and I'm related to the Cliffords and geez, lots and lots of people, if you can, as you know.
yeah, if you're from Rocky Ford, you're in deep.
You know, um, Hyde Clifford's boys all live up there, and Stanley Clifford. I'm related to Poyers
Okay.
and
What was that
everybody.
like? Like going,
That was really interesting. Um, I first found one of my cousins, and he took me to meet my Aunt Mary, and Aunt Mary took me to my grandma, and grandma looked at me and had me come give her a hug, and then she said, "I knew you'd be back."
oh wow.
You know,
How'd that feel?
that I felt like, okay, all this not knowing all of a sudden made sense. Everything, it was just like, I'm home.
Yeah.
You know, that's the way we are.
Mm. Yeah, yeah, I hear you. I hear
That's what
you.
we are. And it's a good thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
So what did you do after that? After you found out
oh,
where your family was?
got married and went off to college and then went to Washington State to graduate school and then raised my family and moved back to South Dakota about 20 years ago.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
That's really interesting. So has all your education been in art or is it
Yeah, I did my undergraduate work at what was then known as Eastern Montana College in Billings, and then I did my graduate work at Central Washington University in Ellensburg, Washington. But it was all in art, on in art. Of course, you have all this other stuff too. The core classes. I didn't just do art.
well, I was gonna ask if you didn't become an artist, what would have you become?
Um, yeah, I was thinking about that the other day. I think if I had to do it all over, rather than pursuing uh, a degree as a two-dimensional artist, I'd probably become a chef.
Really?
Yeah, I like to cook. And I like food and the idea of good food.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And does do you I'm sure you do a lot of cooking still.
Oh
And
yeah, yeah.
not what I'm saying is that do you ever find yourself adding to your
Well, it's the same thing.
what do you
You're
mean?
using the same set of muscles to cook as you do to make a painting.
Yeah. Talk about that.
Same brain muscles. You know, um, it's still satisfying as a part of you that's unexplainable.
Mm.
That makes sense. Does that
It
make any
make
sense?
it makes sense to me.
Yeah.
Yeah, it makes sense to me.
Yeah.
Um, how did you go from drawings to was it
Yeah.
monochrome?
Well, I did my undergraduate work in Montana, And I was real interested in ceramics, and I did a lot of jewelry and lapidary and all kinds of things to go with
What
that.
is lapidary?
Cutting stones.
Oh, okay.
And then um then I got out of graduate, did my undergraduate work, and I went on to, I applied to Central Washington University in two craft areas, jewelry and pottery.
Really?
I couldn't stand either one of the people running those departments, so I dropped out for a quarter
Oh, yeah.
and reapplied in painting, and I was accepted into painting
Mm,
into graduate school. It's a little easier getting into grad school in those days than it is today, I think. They
really?
just needed a veteran and a native person, I think. Who knows why else they took me?
You checked a bunch of boxes.
Yeah, I checked boxes, and and so then I did my graduate work in painting,
Oh, okay.
and then about 1984, 1983 or 84, I was down in working with doing a commission with a collector from Texas. Was doing a series of lithographs, working with a master printmaker down in Santa Fe. Steve Britko was his name, Nora Visa Press, and he asked me, "Do you ever done a monotype?" And I said, "No." So he showed me kind of basically how to do it. I did 6 of them that first day, and I said, "Man, this is nice." Because I needed right at that point in my career, I knew that making paintings was slow.
Mhm.
It's a slow process
It
because you're
is.
doing oil. I don't like acrylic because it smells funny.
Yeah.
And so I needed to have something that I could do to turn out a body of work in a shorter time. And this monotype thing worked in beautifully for me because I could work through an idea really fast.
Mm.
I'm going to do a demonstration here in a little while, and I'll explain that more. Um, but it's I can turn out a show in a week, whereas doing putting together a show, just doing oil paintings takes several months.
Yeah.
And so I can work through a whole series or stay with an idea for a longer period of time and get it out in a shorter amount of time. And that's why this works really well for me. I have a really short attention span.
I was gonna say, do you
Yeah,
have a short attention span
yeah,
so that
yeah.
you,
I'm ADD.
yeah.
You want me to sit here for an hour? I don't think I can do it. but uh, but it works really, really well with people with attention deficit disorder,
Okay.
and I can teach it to people in a couple hours.
Wow. That'd be interesting to
I've
find.
tried with one guy here, but he can't do
Well, if you can get him to do it, then
it. Get him to do it.
don't do it. Are you, well, what about like photography? Do you ever get into photography?
No, I don't. I don't do photography. I don't even use pictures usually. I don't even use photographs when I'm making my work. When I'm doing my work, everything comes out of my head.
Really? Can you talk a little bit about like just a little bit about monotype? Just so we kind of like
Okay,
if you had to explain to me what is monotype.
monotype or monoprint, some people call it. Um, Monotype is basically an image put down on a non-absorbent surface, like I use plexiglass,
Okay.
and then papers laid down on. This is the short version. The papers laid down on top of it, and generally monotypes are done now with a press, a lithographer's press.
Mm-hmm.
I don't use that. I hand burnish the back of the paper. I rub the back of the paper with different tools, and then the image comes off the plate onto the paper, transfers onto the paper, and I can control how much of that image comes off the paper by the amount of pressure I use on the paper on the back when I'm burnishing.
Yeah.
And
Burnishing?
Yeah, burnishing, or rubbing the back of the paper.
Oh, okay. Okay.
And so what I'm printing is a mirror image of what I've painted.
Okay.
So I have to think, if I want something going to the right, an image to go to the right, I have to paint it going to the left.
Oh, okay.
So it's kind of a backward process, which is really easy for me because I'm kind of backward anyhow. So
It worked out for you.
yeah, it worked out just fine. Yeah.
So what is it that you like to mono print?
I
What's your
I
favorite
do
thing?
all kinds of I can do all kinds of images. You know, I can probably one time I was over in Cody at the Cody Museum
Mm,
in the Indian Museum there,
yeah.
Plains Museum there, and I was just kind of set up there, just going around looking at things and coming back and painting them.
Hmm.
And there's a little boy was kind of following me around. The family was in the museum, and he was just really interested in what I was doing. Of course, his head came up just barely over the tabletop, and and he looked, was really watching. I said, "You want me to paint something for you?" He said, "Yeah. Do you know how to do an ostrich?" I said, "Geez, I don't even think I've really ever looked at one. Could you help me tell me how he looks?" So he kind of explained it, and so I put some marks on the paper on the plate. He said, "Well, that beak has to be a little bit longer. His nose, his
Hmm.
beak, yeah, and his eyes are bigger." So I made his eyes bigger, wiped that off, and made his eyes bigger. And he said, "And he has like furry stuff on his head, his feathers, you know."
Okay.
And I said, "Okay," so I put some of that on there. "Yeah, that's just about perfect." And so I printed it, and he said, "Well, you painted him backward."
Oh,
I said, "Yeah, well, that's the way I saw it. That's the way you described him." "Yeah, maybe I did." So I gave it to him. And I could have given that kid $1,000 and he wouldn't have been happier. He just, I thought he was going to explode.
he was that happy.
You know, but that's kind of how I work,
Oh, okay.
you know? Yeah.
So you don't have any
I'm not going to do an ostrich today.
no ostriches?
I just let the crowd know that. I'm not going to do that.
Do you have, is your work like that though? Do you have these moments
Very spontaneous.
that
I
are
work
like
very spontaneously. I do a lot of buffalo. Of course, that's what people want. I do a lot of crows.
a lot of
I'm
crows and
probably
buffalo?
known for my corvids. Crows, ravens, and jays
Okay.
are corvids.
Corvids?
Corvid, that's the scientific name for them.
Oh, that's a new
Yeah,
word that we're
yeah.
gonna learn.
Crows, ravens, jays, and magpies are all corvidae.
Corvidae.
Yeah,
All right.
and the crows and the ravens are the only ones that are known to take toys to their nest for their young.
Ooh, I didn't know that.
So they're very family oriented. So when I'm painting one of those, when I've done thousands of them, I think about how would his family respond to him? And so you put that kind of feeling in your head when you start this, it seems to work out pretty nice. You know, uh, if I try and make him be something else, which he likes to be, the crow,
Yeah.
it doesn't seem to work out very well for me.
Why did you connect with the Corvi so
I
much?
don't know. I don't know. I don't even, people have asked me, and maybe somebody here could help me with that question. What is it about the crow that's tribal? You
Okay.
know, other than the feeling of the family.
Yeah. Okay.
You know, what is the meaning of the crow to the Lakota people?
Ooh, I love these questions like
You
that.
know,
Yeah.
I do too.
What
I
does
do
that
too. But
mean?
so far, nobody's given me a direct answer to that, and I don't know if there is a direct answer.
And there's so many like my family we pay attention to birds.
Sure.
My daughter's really big on birds right now, and
Mhm.
the whole what you're talking about right now. We we look at birds, and I think you could, because we're kind of like land based. Our family's out on the land, and we're figuring things out as a family. And birds right now are a big one. And whenever we what we've learned about crows and like owls, and like we're going through all these with them.
Mhm.
And what when you said, what do crows mean to us? And I think of all these other cultures when with crows, people believe that they're spirits, that they're old spirits. I know that crows have an incredible memory,
Mhm.
and they're some of the smartest birds out there.
Mhm.
And then when you said magpie, I mean, automatically I thought, we have a Lakota have a direct relationship with the magpie. There's that. But I love where you're going with this, because I mean, birds are just an amazing. I mean, when you stop and pay attention to birds in this busy world right now, you begin to kind of get grasp an idea what our ancestors thought of them. And it's really neat to think about that, because you're connecting your own background dots,
Sure.
especially with you, because
Mhm.
you didn't grow up in on the reservation, or in an indigenous family growing up. And to make those dots connect, it connects you to everything out there. And
Well,
so,
it's really difficult for all birds now today to make a living because food sources are harder for them to find, and there's so many things there's so many pesticides and genetically modified plants and things. So how do they know what's safe for them to eat?
yeah,
Are they going to eat, or are they going to how are they going to live? This whole I was thinking of that yesterday. This whole idea of winter camp
mhm,
is kind of I think this we're doing this winter camp program and thinking back of what our ancestors had to go through during winter, which were really lean times for
yeah,
many people.
yeah.
Um, are birds kind of in a constant winter camp situation? Do they are they constantly figuring out a way to
Mm,
live through this season or live through this time?
yeah,
I think it's stuff like that really I don't know, but that all influences I think how artists work too.
yeah.
Does that make sense? I don't know.
I'm all over the place right now.
I am too.
I'm just
I
trying to
am
like
too.
I'm trying to get it. I'm for
That's
what.
why I wish you would have had some canned questions for me, and I could have looked them over and given you canned answers.
Well, I appreciate you coming with my process.
Yeah,
Well, so like I don't know if I stumbled across this movie the other day, G.I. Jane. Have you ever heard of this?
yeah, yeah, more.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Demi Moore. Yeah. In the movie G.I. Jane, she's trying to become a Navy SEAL or something like
Uh-huh.
that. And she has her I forget, drill sergeant or whatever they're called. He recites a poem. And I always like that poem. And the poem goes something, it's real short. It's much longer, but the part he recites is, I've never seen a wild thing feel sorry for itself. And then a bird will freeze to death before he'll feel sorry for himself. And I always thought, that's interesting, and that feeling sorry for yourself, that's come up with our family lately. And it's like, how do you feel sorry for yourself, or what creates that, causes you to feel sorry for yourself? And you don't see it in wild things. And so, that's why I enjoy looking into like birds, for example. You
Mhm.
find things that they're not doing. Like you said, they're just trying to figure out how to live. They're trying to figure out this world like us. And when you talk about birds, it gets me excited, because like there's so many things you can connect with, especially us people, because we have such a Lakota has such a direct connection with birds. I
Mhm.
mean, we're stewarding a win from the great race for them.
Right, right.
Yeah, and so like for us to wear feathers in our hair, it's just it was to represent that.
And
That's what
paying
I
tribute to
understood.
them,
Yeah.
remembering. Crows remember everything. They remember they remember anybody or any other creature that's been kind to them or been patient with them. They remember every face that they've ever seen. They remember your face if you say something nice. They remember your face if you say something negative.
So we should change the expression, a crow never forgets.
A crow never for they talk about the elephant never forgetting. It's the crow that never forgets.
I
And
did not know that.
they'll be kind. Will you be kind to them? I put out water for the crows all pretty much every day all year round,
Yeah.
even when it's cold, especially when it's cold because they can't get a drink and they need water too. And I put it on warm water so they'll come. They know about when I'm going to come out with the water because they can drink it then.
They start chirping.
Yeah. Well, no, they don't necessarily chirp, but they'll bring you gifts.
Really?
They bring me little rocks and just stuff. There's a restaurant downtown Hill City. They bring me pieces of bread. Then they just leave it there. You know,
Wow. What do you do with it?
I don't eat it. Just,
All right. Well,
just hold it up and say, "Hey, thanks." Take it to the house.
that's cool. That's amazing
You know.
to have that kind of relationship.
Yeah, but I don't feed them because that's not fair. Because
Explain
then
that,
they
please.
become dependent on you,
Oh, okay.
and that's not fair to them to have them become dependent on you. Because if I'm sick or not there, then what do they eat? They forget how to find their own food. So you don't feed them. I bring them some water because they'd have to have water. Water,
Mm.
everything depends on that.
But
So
birds are in your print your
a
process.
lot, yeah, yeah,
And
yeah.
you said bison too. Do you ever catch yourself doing things just because it's indigenous, or
Well, I
does that make sense?
yeah, yeah. I I I don't I don't do imagery because it is indigenous. I I kind of feel like maybe I'm stepping into a territory that maybe I don't know enough about,
Okay.
you know, and somebody's going to call crap on me, they're going to holler bullshit, and that
Mhm.
wouldn't be good,
Yeah, well, oh
you
well.
know.
Well, I'm just curious because whenever I think about like art, I always think that there's a point for each artist where they're just kind of like getting to a point where like, oh, now they're just selling. They're just trying to
Yeah,
create to sell.
yeah.
And whenever you talk about your process, you're like you said you have ADD, and you just kind of like you have those spill outs where you just gotta create, and just it just has to happen.
Uh,
Does that make sense to you?
I first of all, I don't now or never have I done art for the sake of sales. Never have.
That's cool.
It's nice when something does sell.
Yeah.
So I can, support my family and whatnot. But I never let that be my whole impetus for creating.
Yeah.
First of all, I do art for the sake of art, just for the sake of progressing my art.
Hmm.
I don't really I'm not concerned with sales. And I am, I need to sell, like, to be realistic here, but that's not the main reason for doing it. You know, I have a studio full of stuff, you know, stuff that I never sold.
Yeah.
I never intended to sell.
Yeah.
I have drawers full of all kinds of stuff.
Man, I love walking into artist studios because I see all this stuff like Ray's his deal. He showed whenever I went downstairs to Ray Rockboy, um, went down to his space down there, and he said, this has got he explained this piece to me, and then he goes, I collaborated with so and so on this.
Mhm.
This is worth so much to me. You know, like he made this
Yeah.
connection with it, and he was like, I just can't sell it. I'll never be able to sell
Well,
it.
that's doing it for the right reason.
That I mean, that
That's
right
doing it for the
there,
right
I
reason.
love that
Yeah.
because I've met artists before where they're just like constantly pumping out. And my family, that was one of our incomes growing up was beadwork and
Sure.
art and things like that. And I always thought, you know, it seems that some people that become artists and those people that are just trying to sell, you know, there's a line where you get to where you're like, I'm an artist. Wow. You know, like I'm gonna keep going.
Yeah.
And it's weird for an indigenous person too, because it's so interconnected with who we are.
Yeah.
And then like that's what I like to talk to indigenous artists about because who they are comes out in their work. So your relationship with birds, you know, I'm always curious, like what made your work Lakota or Oglala? Did I
Ooh.
go a little too deep there again?
Why don't you hit me a little harder?
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, I
I do
didn't
this
hardly feel that one at all.
I do this from time to time. I go so deep that like
Uh,
I don't mean to.
I'd like to give you a kind of a standard canned answer for that. You know, while I'm displaying my connectiveness with the earth and you know blah 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 blah. You know, I would love to be able to tell you that, but that's not true. Uh, I I do what I do for the sake of maintaining my heart, for the sake of maintaining who I am.
Mm,
And I don't really give a crap what anybody else thinks about
I
me.
love it. I
I
love that.
really don't care. You know, I don't do work for the sake of having people like it. I do it for the sake of the art,
Mm,
for growing it. I don't want to get comfortable. I don't want to get comfortable with the imagery that I'm doing. I want to take it farther than I know how,
wow. That's cool.
you know. And it's not all about me. It's all about the creation of real art,
Hmm.
you know. I'm not doing imagery that people are going to like because I'm going to sell it. I'm doing things because it's right. It's honest. Nothing made up, you know.
Yeah. Yeah. So
If I did stuff that I thought was Lakota or Oglala to further define it, I wouldn't be being honest with the work.
that's cool.
It has to have its own life, you know.
So would you say that like art has kind of like protected you or saved you or um
It defines me.
created us? Okay.
It didn't save me. I didn't save anything. I'm not a hero. Uh, it defines who I am. I live it,
Yeah.
you know.
So
You come into my studio, there's a sign that says, my housekeeping skills, uh, best described as there must have been a struggle. But that goes beyond just my housekeeping skills.
yeah.
My work looks sometimes very struggled.
Explain that, please.
it's not always happy.
Oh, that's cool.
It's not always um, meant to bring you joy, but more to make you think. You know,
When you're
we
in,
didn't mean to get this complicated.
oh, we're going, we're
Yeah.
still going. Um, well, I appreciate it. I really do because whenever as a young person, well, I don't think I'm that young anymore, but like whenever I look at my daughter or my son, making that connection is really important to me anyway. And I think that to have it is one of the things that our youth is really struggling with is the ability to connect and feel connected to something that's bigger than them and not let it be defined by what was written in history, what makes an Indian Indian, more rather them discovering themselves through this process or a medium of some sort. So I like your story because when you talk about monotype, I have no idea what monotype is,
Yeah.
but I get excited because you found your place there. And now that you're kind of making this space for other people to consider monotype, and
Yeah.
you may not feel like a hero, I think you're a hero.
Well,
And that's what I mean is like interviewing. I don't mean to go as deep as you like to say it is, but like it's really cool to hear another indigenous person fulfill their dreams through their mediums. I think you're a hero. So I
well,
hope you
it's
don't.
oh geez, it make me blush.
Sorry,
I
but
wrote years ago and kind of changed
change it.
the direction here just a little bit. I used to keep a journal, and occasionally do now yet, but not as much as I used to. I was trying to put into words the best way I define why I do what I do.
Mhm.
And because, I love to do things like these demonstrations because it gives me an opportunity to hear what I'm thinking. Does that make sense?
Mm-mm.
Well, I'm talking about while I'm working, I'm talking about what I'm doing.
Oh, okay, okay.
And so it helps me hear it rather than just internalize it.
Man, don't you ever think we could really get on top of things if we could just figure it as Indian
Well,
people,
yeah,
it just
yeah. So I used to keep this journal and I wrote a poem about my Aunt Mary years ago. And it's probably one of the only things I've ever written that still stays with me all the time. And I think about it frequently. It goes, Auntie saves everything. Everything she saves in bags and boxes. She keeps in her bedroom and under her bed. Everything she saves is meant to be given away. Sometimes I wish she'd saved me.
oh
So there's several layers in that.
yeah.
you know, you know, but that's what we have. I think it's that I don't know where I was going with this. Um, I think it's important that we hear what we're thinking and write down what we're thinking and draw it out and and define this plan that we perceive to be our future.
That's cool. You're kind of mapping it out as you talk and you
Yeah,
process, you kind of
yeah.
building and it comes out.
I'm a really complicated person, but should I ask people if they have questions? Just
Actually,
getting lost in this
no,
whole mess.
no, I know. I don't mean to jump around like that too, but like
Yeah,
yes, one of the things I enjoy about doing these things is that we allow our guests that have come in to join us in this conversation is that we give them an opportunity to ask a question. So as I sit here, I want to invite all of you guys, if you have a question for Roger, and I would just simply just ask you to ask it, and if you want to join this conversation. Does anybody have a question for Roger?
Thank you.
When does the intervention start?
When does
When does what?
The intervention stuff.
Yeah, that's kind of waiting for that to happen at any time now.
Nate, from your talking about stories about crows, they said there's a Lakota story about the crow taking care of a man's baby while he searched for his lost wife, keeping the fire warm for the baby and keeping him fed. He turned black from the smoke of the fire, which is a sign of his service and devotion to his relative, man and his family.
Wow, that's cool. Did you hear that?
The Lakota story that I heard was when the creator gathered all the animals together to decide amongst the animals which ones were their hierarchy, more or less, which ones are going to be in charge, which ones are going to be the servants, which ones are, what position they had in the whole society. And it was a chilly evening, and the crow kept standing closer to the fire to stay warm. And the creator said, "You got to get back a little bit or you're going to get burnt." Crow wouldn't listen. So came the morning time, his feathers were all black. And he said, "You're going to have to live that way forever because you won't pay attention."
Wow.
You know.
Where did you hear that?
Huh?
Where did you hear that one?
I don't know. Somebody told me that.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Thank you for sharing
He
that.
has to stay black forever because he thought he knew everything already, but he has to carry that around with him forever because to remind him that he doesn't know everything.
I think that's a perfect ending on that one, Roger.
Okay, good.
I really appreciate you talking with us today. Is there anything you want to add here that maybe I didn't? I mean, I know there's a lot I didn't cover, and I went to places that didn't need to go, but
I think I kind of talked too much already.
oh no, I think I appreciate it. I really do. I really enjoyed talking with you.
Thank you for.
Okay. Well, if that's it, I appreciate you guys joining our conversation. Thank you guys all for coming here today. I really appreciate you sitting with us. I look forward to our class here afterwards.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you. Doksha, everybody.
Doksha.